Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I get these brows. I do a really in-depth tutorial on all of my tips and tricks, my favorite products and brushes, and what I do on a daily basis to get these brows, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and hop right in. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or anything, and I'll see you over there. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. An eyebrow tutorial was something that was really requested, it seems like, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into that today. I do already have my base on, so my foundation and all of that good stuff is already applied. If you want to see my favorites, you can refer back to my first video. I go through all of my go-to products and everything that I like to use for a flawless finish foundation. I just wanted to do kind of an in-depth tutorial on just eyebrows today and not take up a whole lot of your time. So I am going to go ahead and just jump into that. I will cover the products that I'm using and link them in the description below, of course. So yeah, here we go. So my first step is to always make sure that I spoolie my eyebrows. I don't know about y'all, but my eyebrows can get pretty crazy. I do run the spoolie through them and make sure that they are pretty well straight. I don't tweeze them nearly as often as I should, but hey, it's okay. Sometimes you don't have time for all that. Now, I do use the NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Chocolate. This is my absolute favorite brow product. As I said in my last video, I will go on about this a lot, I'm sure. But it tops anything else I've ever used. Pencil, pomade, gel, it doesn't matter. I always come back to this. And every shade in it is great. So I will go ahead and just go in with this once I have my brows spoolied, laying right, looking right. I will go in with this pencil. Now, depending on how you want your brows to look, if you want a super defined brow or kind of a more natural brow, that's going to really sway the way that you go with how you do your brow and base your shape. So I don't like to do a super defined brow, kind of my shape but better, I guess you'd say. So what I like to do, I like to take my brow pencil and start about right up from the top of my nose. Is this the top of my nose or is that the top of my nose? I don't know. So the top of my nose, and I like to hold my pencil flat, and I will start right there and go over, kind of making an upward line, I guess you would say. You don't want it to be straight across because your brow just doesn't go that way. So you will take a very light hand and just kind of shade a line across the bottom of where you want that brow to be. Now your eye shape and your eyelid and all of that will play a part in where you want your brows to lay as well. I'm going to be really honest with you, I'm not the best at deciding on a shape for someone. If I sit down to do someone else's makeup, I can see it, but I don't have tips otherwise. I'm pretty good at my own brows, but you can kind of play around with it. I definitely recommend that and see what kind of shape you like, how far in you like to shade them, how far apart you like for them to be. Definitely play around with it. It's makeup, and at the end of the day, you can just wash it off and try again. The worst thing you can do is make it too thick or too dark or put them too close together, and you can just wipe it off. So play around with it. See what shape you like. That is my best advice on figuring out your own eyebrows. You'll just keep going in with that pencil and I follow the natural arch of my brows and just kind of keep it at the bottom of the brow. But not going in too dark. Another good tip that I learned from a friend a while back is to spoolie as you go. So make sure you're spoolieing out that product as you add it into your brow because it makes it much easier at the end to get a seamless blend with a faded brow so you don't have blocky brows. And once you have that color on the bottom, you're going to go up a little bit. Decide how thick you want your brows. That is where you're going to place this next line, and you kind of follow the same technique that you followed on the bottom. So you'll keep your pencil flat like this, kind of at an angle, and just feather that product in there. Remember to use a light hand. Now once I get to my arch, I will put the pencil more forward toward my skin versus laying it flat. I will point it toward my brow, kind of straight like this, just to get more precision from the pencil so that you can really draw out that arch the way that you want it. Sometimes I have a rounded arch, sometimes I have a square arch. It just depends on the day. My brows can be very finicky, and a lot of times I'll just roll with it. Sometimes I just don't have time to care. Take that product, of course, on over onto your arch and make sure that you're using a light hand still and just filling in that arch there and taking it down the tail. Go back and add a little product into the front again. I'm going to spoolie a little bit. So I do like to spoolie with this motion. I have no idea what you would call that. I guess it's kind of up and sideways at the same time. But you don't want to spoolie hard because it can take the product off of your face that's underneath your brows. So you want to make sure that you go in with a light hand. You're going to get so tired of hearing me say that. But it's just so important that you do use I personally like to start with my brow a little thinner than I want it to be in the end, just so that I have room for error. So it's easier to add more product to define versus concealing it and carving it away. So I will start with my brow a little thinner in case I need to build up that arch a little more. I have room to add more product versus taking it away. It just makes everything a little bit easier. Now you do want to make sure that you don't get your tail too low because that can kind of bring your face down. You want to make sure that it stays above the outer corner of your eye. So I keep mine a good bit above there. It really just depends on your face shape. But like I say, just play around with it. See what you like best. Want to be sure that you really spoolie the front of that brow so you get a soft feathery look and you don't just have a square brow business going on here. If you're pretty happy with the shape, I recommend to just go back in and fill in any gaps because sometimes your pencil won't get down past those brow hairs and you want to make sure that you don't have any gaps. Just fill in all of those and make sure that everything's looking pretty smooth. Once you have all of your gaps filled in on that brow, you're going to go on over to the other brow. I always carve and shape my brows after I've done them both. I know a lot of people will go ahead and carve and shape one and move on to the other, but honestly, it's hard for me to get my brows even if I do that. This day, this one might have a square arch and this one might have a rounded arch. So if I do this one and it has more of a rounded arch and I can't get it to carve out right, I can just carve this one to have a rounded arch as well. That's my personal preference. Totally up to you what you prefer to do. That's just what I find easiest. You go in with this brow and you sometimes I will draw a line just to make sure that they're even across my face like this. Yeah, you look a little crazy, but you can cover that with concealer once you're finished. It just helps you kind of map out where you want the bottom of that brow to be. And this is especially helpful if you're like me and your brows don't grow in the same shape. This brow grows really full and has a good shape to it. This brow, I don't know what's wrong with her, but she does not grow right. She's sparse. She has a different shape. She's just on her own thing. And I let her be. I just fill her in how I want it to look. So again, you just keep that line across the bottom of the brow, taking it all the way over to your tail and where you want the brow to end. And it's good to refocus and have a straight look in the mirror to make sure that you're getting your tails in around about the same area. I'm going to follow the same process for the top, so if you need to, you can draw a line to make sure that they're pretty well even, and that will show you where you need to start the top of your other brow. Do you see what I'm saying? I always end up getting this one more full because I'm trying to overcompensate for the brow hairs that aren't there. But it's okay, I can carve that out. I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more product in this sparse area right here. Once they are pretty well close to similar and they're at a place where you can carve them out to make them look more accurate, I will go in with a concealer brush and my favorite concealer. So of course I do use the, what's upside down? So of course I do use the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. This is just what I have and what I'm loving right now. You can use whatever concealer you prefer to use on your under eyes, whatever you have on hand. That's what you can use. So I just take a little bit and put it right here, and I will go in with this little brush. I got this a really long time ago. I'm not sure if they still have it, but love it for defining eyebrows. If you mess with your lipstick, it's just a really good little definer brush. It is from e.l.f. Cosmetics, and it is their small smudge brush. It has an end kind of like that. So I will go in with that and just put some product on the very tip of my brush. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. And I will start going under my brow. Again, I lay the brush flat like I did the brow pencil. Just lightly take the product along my brow line on the bottom to get a clean line and make sure that I'm getting rid of any excess product I would have gotten below the brow. Now go along the top as well, and I find it easier to lay my brush this way when I do the top versus going like this. It just seems like I have a better reach. So I'll flip it over, use the product that I have on the other side of the brush to carve out the top of my brow. This is about what you want your brow to look like. This is my personal preference, I should say. This is about where I'm happy with my brow. I know I look crazy because I still have these lines, but I'm about to get rid of those. So just take your brush and go over those lines that are in the middle, and it should buff them right out. And then I will go in with some more concealer and carve out the other brow to hopefully match this one. You do want to be sure that you blend out the line from your concealer so you don't look like you just have white trimmed around your brows. So I will just take the brush and feather it up my forehead a little bit away from my brow bone to make sure that everything is blended right. Once I have everything mostly even, they're never perfect, I will run the spoolie over them one more time just to be sure that everything is blended and there aren't any gaps in my brows. It is best to do your brows farther away from the mirror. If you do them close, you'll find that when you back up, you're like, whoa, these aren't even at all. Set back a little farther from your mirror when you do your brows, and I guarantee you'll find it easier to get them even. I don't know why. Science, people. No idea. You have your brows shaped pretty well the way you want, and you have them spoolied. They're nice and smooth. The front is feathered out. You just want to make sure that you do go back in and spoolie down from the top to be sure that you don't have any harsh lines up there. So that is the finished brow look. That's pretty much all of the steps that I use to get my everyday brow. I used to do a whole lot more with my eyebrows, but I just don't have time anymore. And I'm kind of over the whole super defined eyebrow every single day type of vibe. So this is what I do. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Anything you feel like I skipped over or something you didn't fully understand, I'd be happy to explain it to you further. Yeah, so that's the products I recommend, the technique I use, and that's it, I guess. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, I will link all of my products below, so check out the description. And if you haven't yet, circle back and watch my first video, and I show you all of my go-to products, start to finish, and with a full eye look, my favorite foundation, all of that good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I appreciate you tuning in. See you later.